Hello guys and gals and welcome to 8.10, the test server. Uh, this is going to be probably a two-part video right here, just overview, and then I'll go through all the tanks in new 8.10, which is like 12, I think, 12 or 13 new Japanese and two new Russians. This one, very interesting. This one, not so much. As far as Japanese go, uh, as a general overview, basically, you're looking at not a lot of armor, pretty good mobility, big old tanks with basically depending on sloping and their guns are awesome. I think at tier 7, it is this one, you get a sweet autoloader, which basically it's like the Panther's autoloader. Panther's gun with an autoloader, pretty much. Less penetration, but I mean it's awesome. It's a fun game, fun tank to play. And that's the Type 5 Chirai, if that's how you pronounce it in Japanese. I don't know. I don't speak Japanese. Don't arigato, Mr. Roboto. As far as this first part, I'll be basically going over the garage and some of the new tanks in, well, actually all the new tanks. So I'll just be going over a brief overview of each one. And I suppose we'll start out with the garage stuff. So basically, this isn't even a garage really, but graphics. They've redone a lot of it. They've. I mean, I'm guessing if you watch this, you've seen the ASAP video on basically what they've done. So you've seen a lot of the new lighting, the new light rays, and the clouds have shadows and whatnot, which is cool. But it's a lot of extra fluff that isn't really needing. One of the big things is this blur effect that came in, and I'll show you that later. As I'll set it up to high. Another thing is that this track effects. See, I've heard that these will not crash your game, but make it go slow. And after disabling it, my FPS jumped up by 20 frames, and it's almost back to where it was last test. So I, if you want to leave these on, basically I'd be recording at about 15 frames per second, whereas with these off I get about 30 with fraps running, which is not bad, but eh. Um, Basically with the new graphics they've added is new lighting system, a new fog of war, dynamic shadows for clouds, which basically mean that clouds have shadows now. Full screen filters, which are right here, and I'll show you all these once I get to the next part, which will be like stuff that happened in game. But I just want to go over the settings right now. The filters, they redid the bloom effect, light rays. Like if you've ever looked through a video camera and you get those, it's like 8 dots that come in a diagonal, kind of like different shapes and stuff. They've added those if you look at the sun, and of course motion blur, like I said earlier. And I'll show you the motion blur, the filters, and if I can find a spot where it has the shadows, I'll show you those in the actual battle, which will be part 2. They also have redone the after battle results, and I just quick did a battle for you guys. Um, Mostly right here, they've redone the crew stuff. Well, not crew stuff, but your mission stuff. Most of this is pretty similar, the same, nothing special. Pretty similar, pretty similar. Yeah, nothing's really changed as far as the looks. Besides, they've added this, and if I had progressed in something, it would actually show how much I've progressed. So if the thing required me to do, let's say 10,000 damage, and I did what 2,500, 2,400, it would say plus 2,400, and then have a scale right here to show the total, which is pretty cool. They've also added to the missions tab, which is found up here. They've added discounts. So you get all these discounts, and I'll show you the tank, how much it's off, which is awesome. I mean, right now it looks like just about every tank in the game is off. But I'm guessing that's just for testing purposes. They've also got discounts on, looks like purchasing premium, and discounts on, yeah, more discounts. Uh, Other than that, basically just more clutter for this page. I mean, before it was pretty cluttered. I mean, you'd have quite a few things going on. Now you're just gonna have discounts, and I don't know. It seems pretty cluttered, but um, I think that if they put another tab here that's like maybe like current missions, then under here they had like tank missions, discounts, and like I don't know, damage missions or whatever, and they had like a bunch of tabs here underneath current, and then coming soon they'd have the same thing. I think that'd be pretty cool. Maybe have all and then everything. So if you want to just find the discounts, you just click a little button up here and you go find the discount, which would be much easier instead of having to scroll through the list. Um, Team battle page has been reworked supposedly. I don't know. I haven't done enough of these. Usually somebody else hosts them. I just click this invite accept, and that's about it. So um, yeah, it doesn't look any different really. All right. Um, yes, do you want to exit? Save last battle option, which is awesome. If you are, well, let's say that you've got a slow computer or you don't have a lot of hard drive space and you just wanna and you're in an awesome battle, but you don't wanna have replays enabled to all, which I've got plenty of space on my hard drive, so I don't really care. But um, last, basically, it'll save your last replay. You go into the replay file, have one, you copy that somewhere else, and you'll have that saved forever. And if you play another battle, however, you'll lose that one awesome one you had, which sucks, but it's cool. Basically, it'll have one replay in there at all times, and it'll be the last battle you ever played. So if you just had an awesome game and you don't want to have a lot of hard drive space wasted by having all, but you want to have the last one saved, that's a pretty cool feature. I won't use it personally, but I think it's a cool feature for those of you guys who want to maybe upload you got an awesome battle, you got Top Gun, like 8 kills, 10,000 damage or whatever, but you don't normally have this thing on all because it takes up a lot of space. You throw it on last, you go exit the battle, go to your replays thing, copy somewhere else, and that's really cool. Um, and on here it said that you, I don't understand this exactly, but after battle get money experience for honorable resistance, and I didn't see that when I was looking through here earlier. I'm guessing it's this potential damage received. I'm not. I can't tell you what that is. I've got a bunch of question marks right next to it in my notes here, but I'm guessing that you just get credits and experience from taking damage now. So that's awesome. If you're in a T95, you'll be super happy because you'll get. Oh, there's the motion blur. You can kind of see it already. Um, it makes me sick a little bit, especially in the game when you flip your camera around. I don't like the motion blur so much, but I'll show you guys that anyways. But I think you just get credit and money for taking damage, which is cool. I mean, whatever, more credits, more damage, whatever. They've also taken the draw distance, going back to this, and before your low was like 300 meters, medium was like 500, it was like that, and I think maximum was just about to the entire map was loaded. Now, low is 500 meters, medium is, or no, low is, yeah, 500. Basically, this one, what before it was high is now low. That's my name. Medium, what was maximum is now medium. What is high was then max. Or no, what high and maximum are new values, which is maximum is like I think everything on the entire map that can be loaded will be, and high is just about everything. I'm not for certain what these are, but these two jumped up to, if that makes sense. So if you click medium now, that is what used to be the maximum in 8.9, and before you click low, that is what used to be high in 8.9 and before. So if you got low on PC, you'll be loading more stuff. So if you don't have very much RAM, sucks to be you. I do currently have my crappy laptop playing, which only has a like Intel built-in graphics, and it's a POS. Runs this game on absolute bare minimum for about 10 frames per second, but it's been consistently 10 frames per second for every patch they've had. So they keep this. I mean, it seems like they've rendered it better so that it doesn't take as much RAM. So it doesn't seem like it's gonna affect stuff as much. But I don't know. My low end PC is a piece of crap, but it can still play like it used to. Um, Also, I'll show you this in the game. When you scroll out using your mouse wheel, it's a lot smoother. You kind of see it. It looks a little different in the game, but it, yeah, it looks a little different. But when you scroll in and out, it changes. As far as tanks go, basically we've got the Renault Atsu, which, if you remember the Renault FT 17, look familiar. Renault NC13 or 31, sorry, look familiar. MS1 look kinda, sort of familiar. Basically, Renault made the first real battle tanks. This right here is going to be pretty common. I have no idea. I'm guessing that's exhaust, but you see them all over on like turrets, and I'm not sure if that's exhaust or an actual machine gun. So I assume that that's a machine gun because there's one right here, but I mean they're on quite a few tanks. And it's right there. I'm actually guessing that's a machine gun because that's where it is. But why the hell is it right? It's different right here, but it's actually painted the same color as that thing. So I'm guessing this one is actually exhaust. But you got this right here with the muffler. It's weird. Little tumors. That's gonna be the hallmark of this thing. Big old tanks, giant tumors. It's, I mean, that's pretty much one of the hallmarks of this entire line. But I guess we'll start with the Russians. Get a little overview of these guys. Um, the new tier 9s on the Russian tree. These two bad boys right here, coming off the tree from last patch, the A43, A44, Object 416, Object 430, Type 2, Object 430. Um, and Object 430 Type 2 is a tier 9. You get a choice between this 100mm and this one, and I believe you get the M63 on, yeah, the Object 416, which is the one that comes right before this. And this one is on the T54 and this. This is like the top gun for T54 as well. You get choice between one of these two turrets. Basically, you get a little bit more armor and a little bit the same view range, a little bit more armor at the cost of weight. Not even. Yeah, a little bit more weight, but that's negligible. Um, Basically, you get more armor. Same guns can be fitted. Same traverse rate. I don't see why you wouldn't put on the top turret. Engine, a little bit more horsepower. Nothing fancy. I think the bigger thing is though that the fire on impact, and then traverse whatever. Object 430. Basically another T62A clone. Uh, if I if you can kind of see right here, these plates are really angled. This is a really bouncy tank, basically another troll armor tank, but the side is flat and just basically track. So it's pretty much just a troll tank. Relies heavily on sloped armor, so you can fire it down. You'll be fine. Then we'll go with the Renault Atsu. It's another copy of the FT17. What can I say? I mean, it's got the 37 that you can find on the T1 Cunningham, and that's about the only gun it gets, unless you want to use a 50 cal, which historically 50 cals are crap in this game. I mean, yeah, they are. Then on the two lines, and for the Japanese, you have the Hago, Kini, Kiho in one line, which is both lines lead to the Chinu, which is Chinu Kai is a variation of the Chinu. Not sure what difference is. I'm guessing it's maybe a predecessor, like the prototype of it. And then on the Chinu, Chiha, Chihi, um, also another line. The big difference is that one is a light tank line, the other one is a medium tank line. And these medium tanks, if I remember right, have howitzers. Yes, they use howitzers quite a bit. Up until this one, which does get howitzer, but you can also mount a long 57. We'll look at the light tanks first. Basically, you get large speed bonus, not crazy fast at tier 2, but not crazy slow. Very maneuverable, not a lot of armor, and it's a decent tank. Nothing special to it. Mounts, it's got derp gun too, but derp gun's not bad. I prefer guns that fire fast over derp guns personally. But at this level, I mean, you can almost penetrate the armor with the HE shell. So I mean, you could penetrate 12 millimeters with a what 29 millimeter penetration. That's not too bad. Then you get to the Nikai or Kini. Sorry, I can't read today. Uh, Interesting tank. Only gets 37s, which I like, but it's faster, more traverse, about the same armor. Not much to say. It's a fun little tank. Nothing too special about it. And the Kihao. Um, this one is where you start to get the bigger guns. Get the same 57 you can use on the Chihi. Eh, it again, fine tank, same speed limit, insane traverse. I mean, this thing turns on a dime. 60 traverse speed. It's got more traverse speed than it does speed limit. That's insane. I can't even think of another tank that has that. I mean, this is probably the best turning tank in the entire game. I mean, it's just silly. Uh, Chini. Basically, these medium tanks rely a lot on howitzers, although they do mount non-howitzer type guns. Decent armor. You're gonna bounce, considering it's a tier 2 and it's got almost tier 3 or 4 armor. It bounces quite a few auto guns, but once you get to the sides and rear, it's not that impressive. It does have this little swoop, like on the FT17, whereas the tier 1 does not, which is interesting, but eh, nothing too special. Chiha, um, this turret looks familiar. It's because it's basically the same thing on that. You also, I'm pretty sure, get the same loadout of guns. Oh, it's 47 though. That's different. I don't think you can get that, but um, yeah, it's again fine tank, decent armor. Uh, when you look at armoring on these vehicles, this lower plate, there's going to be like a medium plate and a far plate. These two are the heaviest armor. This far plate is not so much, but sloped back so far it doesn't matter. And then this part is typically the most armored part of the entire tank besides the gun mantlet. Then we get to the Chihi, which mounts again the 57 or the 75 short gun. And this one gets a lot of armor, 50 millimeters, and while people can penetrate this lower plate, this tank is, I can see being very good at tier 4. Not trollish, but I can see it being very good and a lot of people liking it. The Chinu, basically, it's almost a copy of the Chinu Kai if you saw videos on that. It's a lot the same. Use same 75, or not the same, but very similar 75. It's nothing special. Big old turret, and it's decent. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Chinu and nothing wrong with Chinu Kai. Tier 6 is a Type 4 Chitu. Um, this one has the 75 that basically the next one has the auto-loaded version of it, but bigger tank and 75 millimeters armor as compared to 50 on this one. Um, basically you get 75 millimeters and 90 millimeters, whereas other tiers are getting 88s and 90s, and then hundreds when you're getting. It's a fun tank, but a lot of these tanks seem kind of similar, and they have a lot of the same play style until you get to the top tiers. Type 5 Chiri. Now this one is pretty fun. Here's that little thing I'm talking about before. I'm not sure if that's a machine gun or what, but there's not one on the other side, so I don't know. But this one does get an auto-loaded gun. You can also use the non-auto-loaded version, which is the exact same. I don't know why you wouldn't use the auto-loaded version, but you can. And interestingly enough, it has autoloader, but it reloads in 10 seconds. So you fire 3 shells, 10 seconds later, which is almost the amount of time it takes an IS tank to reload, and this is tier 7, same tank. So you can fire your 3 shells, reload, and fire your 3 shells, and it'll fire about the same time as an IS. So, I'm not sure whether or not this is going to be overpowered or not. It doesn't have the same amount of penetration as Panther, but it does about the same damage. What's the rate of fire? Does it show? I don't know. I'm trying to do math in my head here. My guess is, I think the Panther fires like, I'm guessing the rate of fire is slightly better on the Panther, because otherwise I don't see why you'd want to use the Panther. Oh, 13 round. I wonder if this can fire fires faster than the Panther. I'll have to test that. Maybe I'll show that when I do the full review of this tank. STA. This is where these tanks start to look like they're American. Before, kinda German, kinda Japanese. Now, you can't tell me that doesn't look American. Browning 50 cal, giant frickin' copula, kinda flat. I mean, these treads even look American. Before, kind of looked like German treads, kind of. I don't know. This, very American-like tread. Does this not look like the T-28 prototype? It does to me. Turret kind of has that back thing like the T-29, T-30 type thing. Yeah, big old Browning. Fine gun. Got 90 millimeter at tier 8, not too bad. A lot of penetration. Decent speed limit, very good traverse, not a lot of armor. This kind of looks like a Sherman. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Kind of looks like a Sherman. Again, very American tank. I believe that this is one of the Patton's chassis. Not sure which one, but one of them. And again, very American-like turret T-29. Uses the same L7 gun that most tier 10 mediums use. Nothing special, not a lot of armor. Big copula, Browning 50 cal on top. Yeah. The top 3 kind of look like they're like morphed American tanks, and this one actually looks like a morphed German tank because it's a variation of the Leopard hull, Japanese turret, Browning turret, the Browning machine gun, I should say, and a large copula, kind of like the Americans. This tank, very, very fun. I've played this one a couple times, and it's got awesome armor, especially in the turret. The hull, it's not very thick, but the thickness doesn't do it justice. It bounces a lot of shots, and I know people are fighting for gold rounds, but it still gets quite a few bounces. So that's pretty much wrapping it up for part 1. Part 2, I will have a lot of the in-game stuff, and yeah. If you like this, check out part 2. Post a comment down below, like, subscribe for more. I'll try and upload as many of these once as possible, but I don't know how much I'll get. See you guys.